I'm Ali Risting. I'm the Managing Director of Real Image Internet, which is an ISP based in Swaziland in Southern Africa. I'm an engineer by training who sort of found himself getting more and more involved in terms of communications technologies from as early as 1995, which is effectively when our company started. From a basic sort of backroom operation, we've grown through the years through the support of our customers and obviously through the human resource personnel that we have to becoming the leading internet service provider in the country. Okay, I mean the evolution of internet and communications technology in the country has been relatively slow. As you can realize, these sort of technologies are driven really by the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure that exists in the country. We are a relatively small country with a population of 1 million people. Of that, probably 10% of those people are actually based in what we would call relatively upscale establishments, towns, and so forth. So we've been working with a very limited footprint. Our initial sort of services were solely based on dial-up based services with your analog modem and so forth. And that was the de facto standard for many, many years, up until about sort of late 1990s towards early 2000s, where the first form of high-speed internet came about through ISDN connectivity. That was the first time we sort of started moving away from the traditional dial-up, but again it's had its limitations because with ISDN you have to be within a specific range of your nearest telephone exchange point. Not everyone has that opportunity, obviously, of being there. So that was the starting point. From there we've introduced quite a lot of other services which sort of complement the basic dial-up services, which is satellite-based communications. We forged a partnership with Centec in South Africa, the main signal distributor for the African region. And they provide us data services over satellites, which helps us overcome some of the shortcomings of dial-up that exist. And then more recently, we've just had ADSL broadband, something that a lot of countries have been enjoying since about 1995. In terms of going forward, obviously we have our plans to move away from the traditional fixed communication technologies to move towards wireless. Before the end of the year, the first sort of test phases of 3G technology, HSDPA moving towards 4G, 4.5G, WiMAX-based communications technologies will start being available. So I would expect that probably in the next year and a half to 2 years, the landscape will be completely different. I do believe that the mobile phone is the future. The cell phone in terms of penetration in Swaziland, for example, you're sitting at a 50% penetration of the entire populace, which is massive compared to maybe 60,000 penetration, 60,000 people, which is about 6% when compared to in terms of actual laptops or desktop computers. People are making use of their mobile handsets to make transactions. We see how many people are SMSing via the cellular network, which is really the entry form of what will then eventually be your 3G communications over those. We did a study with the local mobile telephone company MTN to just get a feel for how many people were using their network for data related services, and by that I mean SMS related services. They also have GPRS, which is a really entry level sort of slow connectivity footprint of the solution, and already we are seeing quite a margin. Up to 10% of people on their network are making use of these on a regular basis, and we are looking at them introducing and making use of the cellular technology, firstly as a means by which money can be delivered through virtual wallets to the old folks in these various communities and so on. So there's a lot of exciting initiatives that are on the pipeline. I'm also involved with Rotary, which is involved in a number of projects as well, skills-based training projects, which I'm going to be making use of some of these systems to try and empower the communities to be sort of more self-sustaining as much as possible going forward. Look, I mean, you've got issues of education, the need to access, the bridging of the what you call digital divide. Obviously, the continual support in terms of skills training of people who are out in rural areas, the sharing of basic information so that people are just aware. You find a simple farmer down in the Lowveld, he's probably a great producer of cabbages, carrots and so on, but just can't get to market, has no idea how to even get there. Let alone the markets in Swaziland, in Baban, in the main cities, being aware that he's got such produce. So those kind of just basics, health issues. I mean, a lot of our communities are devastated by HIV and AIDS. It's difficult to get information out there, let alone get them to participate in any sort of decision-making processes which would affect them at a government sort of level, issuances of ID documents and so forth. All of these things are a nightmare, and these are functions that don't exist in these rural communities. They literally have to take a bus and for many, many days travel to try and get support in terms of this. So these are the sort of core areas that we are looking at. Government has a program of decentralization, of moving all its core services from being based just mainly in Baban to start allowing for self-service centers. The United Nations Development Program wants to do what are termed telecenters, where it will be sort of small classroom environments, community centers with a couple of machines, where there could be potential for income generation into those areas. So all of these programs that I'm talking about in terms of supporting social needs will definitely be coming into the forefront through the introduction of new technologies, cheaper, more widespread technologies that reach out to the people.